Ever wonder where our deepest sense of right and wrong truly originates? I mean, is it something we're just born with, or do we learn it as we go through life? Okay, so today we're taking a really fascinating deep dive into the brilliant mind of Voltaire.
Mm.
We're pulling directly from his Dictionnaire philosophique, specifically pages 252 and 253.
Ah, yes.
It's a section titled Du juste et de l'injuste, which, translates to of the just and the unjust.
Pretty clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our mission really for this deep dive is to explore Voltaire's perspective on morality. It's remarkably universal, practical even, and maybe see how his ideas might challenge some of our own assumptions about, well, what guides our ethical compass.
What's truly striking about Voltaire here, I think, is just his ability to cut through all the complex philosophical noise with such clarity.
Right.
He offers these insights that honestly feel incredibly relevant today and surprisingly straightforward, even after centuries. It's like he's giving us a kind of master key.
So Voltaire kicks things off with a really foundational question, almost a challenge, you could say.
Where does it come from?
Yeah, where does our innate sense of right and wrong originate? And his answer, well, for a philosopher, it's remarkably direct.
Which is?
God, who gave us both a brain for reason and a heart for feeling.
Huh. Just like that. God.
Pretty much.
And then he immediately connects this, how does he put it? Like a mathematical proof.
Exactly.
Right.
How our reason understands vice and virtue. He says it's as foundational as 2 and 2 make 4.
Wow. So he's suggesting these moral feelings aren't just, arbitrary opinions. They're like an inherent truth.
Almost undeniable,
Yeah.
embedded in us. It's a really powerful claim for a universal sort of self-evident morality.
Okay.
But he doesn't just leave it there. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. He pushes back against a common idea.
Which is?
The idea that this innate knowledge is fully baked, fully developed right at birth.
Ah, right.
He uses this great analogy, like a tree. A tree doesn't bear leaves and fruit the moment it pops out of the ground, does it?
No, obviously not. So what's he getting at?
Well, he seems to be arguing that God gives us the capacity for moral understanding.
Okay, the capacity, not the full understanding itself.
Exactly. Rather than a prepackaged set of rules, he suggests our organs, as they develop, they enable us to, and I'm quoting here, feel all that our species must feel for the conservation of that species.
Ah, so it unfolds over time. It's about survival, conservation of the species.
Right. It's not like we're born with fully formed concepts of good and bad, but maybe with an inherent potential, something that develops, designed to help humanity thrive.
So it raises that question then. Is our moral sense more like a seed that grows rather than a blueprint we're just handed at the start?
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Seed versus blueprint. And building on this idea, Voltaire makes a really bold claim, especially for his time. He talks about a universal moral intuition. He basically challenges everyone, listing diverse groups.
Yeah.
People he calls the yellow inhabitants of the Sand Islands, black Africans, beardless Canadians.
Right, using the terms of his day.
Yes, exactly. And historical figures, too, like Plato, Cicero, Epictetus. He throws them all in there.
And what's his point about all these diverse people?
He argues that all of them, deep down, equally feel that it is better to give the superfluous of your bread, your rice, or your manioc to the poor who humbly ask it of you than to kill him or put out both his eyes.
That's quite a statement. Very visceral.
It is. And it leads him to his conclusion.
Yeah.
It's evident to all the earth that a benefit is more honest than an outrage, that sweetness is preferable to impetuosity.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, he's really making a powerful case here for a shared global moral code, something that cuts across cultures, across history.
Yeah, a foundational understanding of right and wrong that he thinks all humans instinctively get.
Okay, so if these moral feelings are universal, how do we handle the tricky bits, the complexities in our actual lives?
Good question. Voltaire says we have to use our reason. Our reason helps us discern the nuances of the honest and the dishonest.
Makes sense. But he also acknowledges something crucial, doesn't he? Our passions.
Oh, absolutely. He says our passions confuse them, which, let's be honest, we can all relate to.
Definitely. So how do we get clarity then, according to him?
His key insight is that we find clarity, we enlighten ourselves when we are tranquil.
Ah, tranquility, calmness.
Right. It highlights the need for sort of inner calm to make good moral judgments. Our best ethical thinking probably doesn't happen when we're angry or upset.
That resonates. It suggests a kind of reflective space is necessary for ethical discernment.
Precisely. And Voltaire then doubles down on this power of reason. He says, anyone who has truly written on our duties, like our moral obligations, has written well no matter where they were from in all countries of the world, because they wrote only with their reason.
Only with reason. And he lists examples, right? A pretty diverse bunch.
Yeah, it's a remarkable list. Socrates and Epicurus, Confucius and Cicero, Mark Antonin, even Amurath II.
Wow, that spans Greece, Rome, China, Stoicism, even an Ottoman sultan known for justice.
Exactly. He's really hammering home the idea
Yeah.
that this rational morality is timeless and cross-cultural.
So, pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway? What's perhaps Voltaire's most striking point here?
I think it's this declaration, and it's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Morality is one, it comes from God. Dogmas are different, they come from us.
Ah, there it is, the core distinction.
Right.
That really is central to his argument, isn't it? Drawing this sharp line between universal moral principles, which he attributes to God, and the man-made theological doctrines, the dogmas. It's fascinating how explicit he is about separating the two.
He really is. Saying the essence of right and wrong is divine, singular, universal, but the specific rules, the rituals, the beliefs that often divide people.
Those come from us, from humans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to make this point even clearer, he actually uses Jesus as an example.
Oh, how so?
He points out that Jesus' teachings were focused on practical morality, not intricate theological debates or specific church doctrines that came later. Voltaire says Jesus taught no metaphysical dogma. He wrote no theological notebooks. He didn't get into debates about being consubstantial or having two wills and two natures, or whether Mary was conceived in original sin.
Things that caused major splits and arguments later on.
Precisely. He also notes Jesus never said that marriage is the visible sign of an invisible thing, didn't mention concomitant grace, didn't institute monks or inquisitors, didn't order, quote, anything we see today.
So Voltaire is saying Jesus himself focused on the core morality, not the later doctrinal superstructure.
That seemed to be his argument, which reinforces his view of morality's true origin and its permanence.
Right, because if Jesus focused on this core morality and Voltaire says morality comes from God,
then Voltaire argues this moral knowledge, divinely given, actually predates and transcends Christianity itself. He emphasizes that God has not changed and cannot change. Meaning the foundation of our soul, our principles of reason and morality will be eternally the same, regardless of human religious structures or what era you live in.
That's a profound claim, an enduring fundamental human ethic, separate from specific religious dogmas.
It really is. So given this distinction, Voltaire then asks a pretty pointed question. He looks at all the theological distinctions the dogmas built on them, and especially the persecutions often founded on those dogmas.
Yeah.
And he asks, what use are they to virtue?
Ooh, that's a direct challenge. What good does all that complex doctrine and conflict do for actually being a good person?
Exactly. And he follows it up powerfully. He says, nature, frightened and revolted with horror against all these barbaric inventions, cries out to all men, be just and not persecuting sophists.
Wow, persecuting sophists. He's calling out those who use clever arguments, maybe twisted logic, to justify persecution in the name of dogma.
Yes. He sees it as unnatural, barbaric. It's this incredibly strong call for practical, universal justice over rigid dogma and the conflicts they cause. It's about action, being just, not getting lost in arguments that lead to harm.
A demand for action, not just belief. That's powerful.
It really is. It's quite a mic drop moment from Voltaire, isn't it?
Definitely.
And to sort of drive home a clear, practical path forward, he references a maxim he calls wise. It's from the Satyr.
Which is?
An abridgment of the laws of the ancient Persian prophet Zoroaster. And the maxim is this: when it is uncertain whether an action proposed to you is just or unjust, abstain.
Abstain. Just. Don't do it if you're unsure.
Simple as that.
That is remarkably simple. And wise. He calls it an admirable rule, right?
He does. He asks, what legislator has spoken better? And interestingly, he contrasts this clear advice with something called the system of probable opinions.
Ah, probabilism. Historically linked to some Jesuit thinkers, arguing you could follow a probable opinion even if the opposite was more probable.
Exactly. Voltaire implies that Zoroaster's simple rule, when in doubt, just stop, is far superior in its directness and ethical clarity. No need for complex justifications if the path isn't clearly just.
Avoid the ambiguity. Default to inaction is unsure about the justice of the action. It's very clear-cut.
So, after diving into all this with Voltaire, what's the core takeaway for us, do you think? What's the essence of his view on justice and injustice?
Well, perhaps it's this idea that despite all our incredible diversity beliefs, cultures, everything, there might actually be a foundational, universal moral code.
Hmm.
Something rooted in our very nature, speaking to all of us. And maybe that sometimes the simplest rules, like Zoroaster's abstain when uncertain, are actually the most profound.
Yeah, I think that's right. And Voltaire really urges us to use our own reason, doesn't he? Especially when we're calm, when our minds are tranquil.
Right, to navigate those nuances of right and wrong ourselves.
He reminds us that true morality, the kind that comes from God in his view, transcends all the man-made doctrines.
Mm.
At its heart, it's just a simple call: be just.
Be just, not necessarily be doctrinally perfect according to one specific group.
Exactly. So maybe a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to ponder on. In this world that's just full of conflicting opinions, overwhelming information, how might Voltaire's distinction, that line between universal, God-given morality and human-made dogma, how might that help you figure out what's truly just in a situation?
Or perhaps, how might that ancient Zoroastrian wisdom just simply abstaining when you're genuinely uncertain about the justice of an action, how could that lead to a more ethical outcome in your own life?
Something to think about.
Yeah.
That's all for this deep dive.